Hello, welcome to Waterwoman Knits. This is my guest today, Annie, my niece, and she has microphone. We just realized we have a new microphone, but we are having issues with it being close enough, so we're going to pass the chopstick back and forth. Um, And so she just recently, she's like a master crocheter. She crocheted that frog in the background. And, but it's only been like a month since you've started knitting.
I started knitting in January, I think. So
So a
almost
few,
4 months now.
and amazingly, I did not teach her to knit. She taught herself through YouTube, which is pretty common. But she's just doing amazing things, and she's doing what is my Achilles heel, pun intended, where she has made socks. Several, like how many pairs?
I've made three uh like wins and then one fail.
Which is, yeah, failure is an option for beginning.
And again it was like a blocking situation where they started I made them to the size of my foot, and then when I blocked them they ended up like 2 inches longer than my foot. So I gave them to my fiance, but they're still a little bit too long for him, and I think he has since also lost one. So I'm like, do you understand how many hours it took me to craft that failure of a sock? You're gonna just lose it. But yeah, no, that's okay.
But I'm just so impressed that you're that you started with socks. Like that's amazing to me. I have in my 50 years of knitting, I have made one sock, not two. One. And so it's definitely on my next make list. But so now, even though she's a new knitter, she can teach me. So do you want to show your
Yeah, I have a current sock project in a little bag that I got when I was down in LA.
that's beautiful.
I know it's I think handmade in San Francisco, and so I am currently working on a a sock pattern by Summer Lee Knits, who is a very popular sock pattern writer, and it is the hibernal sock. So it's got these little faux cables, and I have turned the heel and am finishing the gusset decreases before I get to the working just straight out the foot. So
Wow.
I have gotten really used to these little 9-inch circular needles, and this is on a size 1.
Whoa.
Um,
That is so. I've never seen, like, I've used small circulars for sleeves, but that I've never even seen that small. That's incredible, and I love the pattern on that. It's just gorgeous. Isn't that incredible? That's like your
this
beginner
is
project.
my fifth pair of socks that I've made.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I'm doing something interesting too because I bought the like Chowgu interchangeable tiny needles,
Yes,
like the
that's
set of
they're the best.
yeah,
Chowgu.
like the set of them. And so I have this issue since I have big calves that when I want to have like a longish sock, it's like it doesn't fit from the ankle to like up onto the calf, right?
Oh, right.
So what I did is that I started the cuff and like to like one of these stitch markers on a size 2, and then I went down to a size 1.5, and then I went down to a size 1 needle for like the actual ankle, and then the rest of the foot. So
Wow.
we'll see, because I've tried doing it with like decreases, but then it's really obvious. You can see the like the
Yeah.
two together. So yeah.
That's amazing.
So that is the current sock project.
And did you get this yarn in LA? too? Or
No, this
was
is actually the Yarnable subscription that you can do like online.
oh,
Yarn of the
I've
month
never heard of that
situation.
one. I mean, I've heard of other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like, what is it? It's supposed to be baba macaron, cream macaron color, which I think comes across.
Yeah, it definitely looks guava.
But a lot of my sock yarn that I've bought has been like special and has a lot of like speckles and variegated and whatever. And I wanted to try doing a more textured pattern, which looks nicer when you have a more tonal-y kind of yarn. So that's why I went with this one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And they, I've since unsubscribed from Yarnable because it's kind of expensive, but they had an option to send you like little extras, and so in that same box they have these little tiny macaron, which is just like a plastic little jar, which are like screw top situation, which I have some markers in.
Oh, that's so cute.
But it's so useful because you can just put like the stitch markers you actually need for that project instead of having to carry around your whole tin of stitch markers.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's my current sock project.
If you hold that for a second, I'll just. Do you want to take turns?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Because this is definitely like a finished project that I had completed about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. But it is the Tesserae Shawl by Sami Paulina is the name of the designer from Finland, I believe. And this pattern will be published in June through Making Stories, the last volume of that knit magazine out of Berlin. And I'm not sure, since all the pre-orders are already in and the company itself has folded, I'm assuming that this pattern might be individually like on her Ravelry eventually. Not sure, but for now it's only able to get it through when it's published in June. And I test knit this, but I actually I used a different wool than the designer requested, mostly just for cost. And then I ended up misjudging and ran out of the green, the dark forest green. And so I used, like, it's hard to see on this screen, but I used an indie dyer like green that I had to finish it out. And then I did what you should never do in a test knit and just like added this border. So I basically modified a little bit, but the core of the pattern is just gorgeous and it makes such a great lightweight wrap. And so today it's actually cool enough where I'm at to wear it. But sort of.
It looks the part where you've added the like the other dye part at the bottom looks intentional. Like it looks really good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, like I posted it on Ravelry on Waterwoman. It's my little notes of what I did with the yarn that I used and the changes I made, and with an apology to the designer because technically that is not what you're supposed to do on a test knit. But anyway, I love the pattern and yeah. So
what yarn is the main body?
Cascade 220 fingering, and so it's not superwash, it's like actual wool, but it's almost like it feels like a lace weight when you're knitting it, but it's supposed to be a fingering weight. It kind of blooms when you wash it. But because it's borderline lace, I had to go up a needle size on it to make the same gauge that the designer had. Yeah, but it's this gorgeous mosaic. Okay.
Well, while we're in hold on. While we're in mosaic land, I will show you my Everest.
She's already doing mosaic.
Not in knitting. My mosaic crochet project.
Oh, okay.
I have been working on since December, like actively. Like I have been working on it at least twice a week, every week since December. It's taken
Oh my
so
god.
much time. I'm not quite finished yet, but I'm very close. It's gonna be hard to show, like,
That is
but
gorgeous. Oh my god. Sorry. This is like me just going, oh my god. That is so amazing. Okay, who is the designer of that?
you know,
It's okay. We
I
can
can look. We can vamp while I look it up on my phone. I have the pattern.
vamp. I'm vamping.
I have the pattern. Claire Muson Designs. It's called the Calamera blanket, and it's on Ravelry.
Ooh,
Um,
those are absolutely gorgeous motifs, and that is just
yeah,
beautifully
this
done.
one in the middle is my favorite. That is.
Yeah.
And you can
Oh, I
see
love
in the
that.
middle, I switched base yarn because I did a very rookie mistake, and I purchased this yarn in a quantity that I thought would be enough, and then it was discontinued.
Oh,
And
I've done that so
so,
many times.
so I had to switch. I was like, okay, I need to do an intentional switch.
But yeah, it looks very intentional.
So the first
It
half
works.
of it has the brown, yeah, base, and then the second half of it has like dark blue with the light blue.
Wow.
And so I have one more motif at the end. There's one more, like, I think I have less than 10 rows left.
Wow.
And then in most mosaic crochet is designs that you add a like an envelope border. So you enclose all of the ends because you have a new strand each row.
Oh, okay.
And so then you put on a border and you don't have to worry about weaving in any ends, which is important because you have to for every single row.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has taken a
Wow.
lot of my life.
It is just such a gorgeous textile. Is this cotton or
No,
like
this
not?
is
It's actually wool.
yeah, it's Universal Yarns Superwash DK
Okay.
Merino, I think. And it's I'm hoping that good things will happen when it blocks too, because there are little I don't know the way
Just to even it.
yeah
Maybe.
the way that you have to switch from doing like double crochets and single crochets, and that might the tension on those two stitches are different for me. So it kind of ends up a little bit wavy, and I think once it's blocked, it'll be yeah.
That is really a
This
stunning
is
piece.
my
That's-
Everest.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. For years, I've been wanting to work to do the Lune shawl by Natasha Hornby. And um, this is just what I have so far. It's very hard to show because it's in the middle of a row. But this is the top panel of it. And I mean, I should have thought of this, like taken this finished a row. But you, so this is going to be, this is the middle point of the shawl. And then the whole below here, there will be a whole section of mosaic that has a very complex design. So this is the top panel. On the sample that she has, she uses a much lighter color for this. Like I have a like an almond color and then a burgundy kind of thing, and she used something that's like very light gray here, so you don't see these side stripes as much. But I really like, now that I'm seeing it on screen, I actually like it better than in person. And then the cool thing about this textured stitch is just like, oh yeah, there, I catch the light right. It's called a star stitch, I think she calls it, but it's just um it takes a while because you're doing, each row is just like mosaic, each row takes um like 2 rows to make 1 row. And one thing I can just say for anyone out there who is making the Lune shawl, what helped me is looking up someone else's video on this, and without giving, anything away from the pattern, just to know that you're not crazy when you see when you start this textured stitch, that the first row you are making like an increase or a decrease depending on which part of the panel you're on, and then on the back side you're actually adding back these stitches that you took away in the first row. So it's really, at first, to get your mind around it, it just is reassuring to know that ahead of time, that you basically are taking away stitches on the right side of the fabric and putting them back on the back side of the fabric.
Those colors are really pretty though that you chose.
Oh, thank you.
The almond, yeah.
It's sort of funny because I don't even. Oh yeah, this I do remember. This is this almond color is Knit Picks palette, and I had gotten like a sweater quantity on sale because Knit Picks is pretty affordable usually, and it was on some sale. And this was years ago, but it said the pattern that I was going to do, but needed DK, and this said is fingering, but it actually looks so much thicker than, like, this off-white is actually fingering weight, and then the almond is just much thicker weight yarn, but they're both considered fingering. So I don't know, different yarn companies. That's just one of the things in the knitting world that is a mystery. I've just lost some stitches. Dropped some stitches.
This is the one of the biggest things that was hard for me going from crochet to knitting, was learning how much harder it is to like fix a dropped stitch. Because in crochet, all of your stitches, you like do it and then your stitch is done and your hook is free. But in knitting, like, your stitches are all live.
Yeah,
so it makes it a lot harder. I will say, if you find a mistake like 2 rows below in knitting, it's a lot easier to like kind of go back and correct it, which you can't really do in crochet.
Yeah.
But if you're on, like, if you just want to rip back like 2 rows, it's such a pain on knitting, because then you have to pick up every single one of your stitches back. Yeah. And then on crochet, you just rip it back, and it's a bit easier.
Yeah. Okay, and next, like, whip that I go through phases where I have to cast on everything, get the dopamine hit from casting on everything, and then I'm not finishing. I'm like very slowly finishing a bunch of things. So this is called the Grid Gambit, and a lot of people it's a pretty popular pattern on Ravelry. Let's see if I can. It's just curling up. It's like basically at the halfway point, and I think you join. I mean, wait, I think it would go this way, but anyway. And it's just, if this, I just had like happened to have one gift spin cycle wool in the, I don't remember the name of this. I can't remember the name of the color, but anyway, and I started out with a dark brown base, and then I realized it actually looks kind of cool, even though it's so low contrast. But if you make this with very high contrast yarn, like this base part that I started with, or use like a strongly variegated yarn as a contrast, the grid part motif will pop out. And I'll put the link to the pattern below the video.
Let's see. I have one more crochet project that I'm currently working on, and one more knitting project. So I'll do my last knitting one, which is a Mother's Day shawl or scarf that I'm knitting for my mom.
Oh.
And it's my first lace project.
She is amazing. Do you see what she is doing? I just can't believe you're like a beginning knitter. Like, that is
I think it really, I mean, like learning like yarn management and stuff too, since I already knew
from crochet. Yeah.
But yeah, this is a really, really fancy yarn that we went and picked out from our local shop.
Oh, it's definitely cashmere. Like that's definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really soft.
It's I think like 70% extra fine merino and 20% cashmere and 10% silk.
Wow.
So I had to go get some some bamboo needles because doing it on the metal ones was just ruining my life.
Yeah. And then you have like a safety line, right?
Yes.
Which I never did, and I regret every time I make a lace project.
Lace is so annoying to rip back because it's so hard to find where you are. And this pattern is actually really nice, though. I'll send you the thing, put it in your video, but it's really nice because I don't remember off the top of my head. It's a row of lace, and then you do a purl row, and then a knit row, and then another purl row, and so you just have to get through like one row of the lace motif, and then you can kind of take a break and go back and forth a couple times.
Oh yeah. But how did you cast this on? Like,
I learned how to do a provisional cast on.
Okay, that's what it looks like, provisional. But
yes, because
it actually looks cool. Like, it looks cool in that yarn.
Coordinating yarn to do my provisional cast on, but because it's going to be a loop.
So, like a Mobius.
An infinity scarf, Mobius situation. So the cast on gets grafted to the end, and then it's just a loop. So I'm not very far, but I've been working on getting this to come out. I had tested the lace pattern in like a DK weight that was like grippier so that I could kind of get a feel for what I was doing, but it's actually a very simple chart, and there's only two different lace. There's two different rows, and they're all broken up by like straight knit and purl rows. So
and so what's the name of it again? Just to the pattern. Oh, you said
remember.
It's okay. No worry. We'll just add it to below the video.
Yeah. So that's my other knitting thing on the needles at the moment that I'm prioritizing.
And you actually have project bags, which I never have. I just carry around like my Trader Joe's tote bag. And
this one was fun because I bought it as like a souvenir, and then this just came with some of the needles that I bought.
Oh
it had a little which is a very pretty little mandala.
Yeah.
All right.
And so one of the things that I'm gonna add in writing in my blog is about the connection between knitting and mental health. And I discovered that there is actually a podcast that two psychologists have put together where they review research on knitting and mental health each podcast episode. And I was like, what? Like, that's a thing? I didn't know anyone was doing that. And so I'll put links to their work and stuff. But I just thought I would ask, since I feel like it's so critical to my mental health, just to ask another person who started knitting, like how the experience is for you, like what you think it does for you.
Yeah, I mean, I just think as a person with anxiety and depression and all sorts of different struggles, and life is just hard sometimes, a lot of times, and I think it's nice for me to, number one, have something to do with my hands is huge, so that I'm not like picking at my like nails or my hair or like doing any of those like other anxious things that we can do. Is just, it's nice, like have something to do with my hands that I can do. Also semi multitask, like listen to a podcast or watch a movie, or depending on what I'm knitting or whatever. Having enough things going on that my brain is actually fully engaged, and I'm not also like scrolling through my phone or doing things that make the anxious feelings worse. So yeah, just ever since I started crocheting 4 or 5 years ago, it yeah, it makes a big difference to have that outlet to do with your if you're just stressed, whatever. Let me just do a couple rows, and I usually, I mean, I do whatever fiber craft multiple times throughout the day, and it helps so much. Even especially if you're sitting in silence too, and you need like a moment to breathe, you can kind of like breathe with your stitches,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's been huge in my like self-regulating mental health journey. has been
Yeah.
has been
That's
my fiber crafts.
that's a great way to think of it. I was trying to figure out like what it is exactly besides like if you do anything repetitive, even walking, because it's a repetitive motion, or running for people who like to run, which I don't, but um, you, it's like anything that is repetitive is actually can have a similar self-regulating effect. But what I find, what I've been trying to analyze, like what actually happens in my brain, and I realized as I'm focused on knitting, I the rumination part of my brain, which is what can just increase anxiety when you're just like ruminating over same thoughts or similar thoughts. Um, that it's like whatever part of my brain that is. I'm not a neuroscientist, obviously, but that's what gets blocked when I'm knitting, and I literally can't ruminate, if that makes sense. So I just wonder if anyone else out there wants to leave a comment about what knitting does for their mental health, or what you experience in your own mental processes while you're knitting. That would be great, just to have everyone share what works for them or how they experience it. And the podcast that I'm referring to is called Why I Knit, and there's a whole website dedicated to that. I believe it's run by one psychologist, but then the podcast is with another psychologist that joined forces with her, and I believe they're out of the UK, but they've developed a whole like a class that you can order online that is called Self Care One Stitch at a Time. So I will include all the info for that on my
Yeah,
blog.
that's very interesting. I might need to take that. I have a lot of life changes coming up, and yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really crucial, like my fiber crafts get through. So.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other part, is like she's going to be moving to a place that she's never, a new community, a new city. And that's what I've found whenever I've moved, is if you can find your nearest yarn store, you just have the automatic instant community, because you just have that commonality of you can sit in a group and just knit if you don't want to share, you don't want to speak, but then you often end up just getting in great conversations with a wide range of people. So
Yeah, I think one of the hardest parts that it helps with one of the hardest parts of like moving and being in a new community is for me, like starting a conversation is always the hardest part. I'm like, what do we talk about? Getting through the small talk, like it just my brain doesn't like like that. So being like, oh, I can see that you're holding something that is interesting to both of us.
yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you about that, and so much easier than just being like, so where are you from? I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, that's definitely on the agenda, is to find a knitting group. I think that will be really big for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so you don't have anything more?
I'm good.
Okay, because I mean, I do have I've shown this like every time, so it's not like nothing new, but just to show progress that I am I've completed almost the entire sleeve on the Hello from My Colors. Trying to hold the mic on. The Hello from My Colors sweater. And I'm choosing to make it longer and not as cropped because crops look absolutely horrid on me. So, the aging body. But
The beauty of making your own.
yeah.
Things.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to finishing. I'm horrible at just finishing sleeves. So I have like a 2-year-old sweater that just has one sleeve. I, just constantly have the sleeve issue, which is why I've hesitated starting on socks, but I know I just need to get over that hump. And actually knitting, now that I think of it, it really is the only thing in my life that I feel like I have ADHD tendencies.
Oh, sure.
Where I'm like, oh, this is boring now for me, so I'll just do the next thing. And then pretty soon I have like 10 things going and none of them are done. So, yeah.
I think that's a common issue.
But it's also can be costly. And so, yeah. I will include, I just today saw a woman who is an indie dyer of yarn, published a Substack on the effects of tariffs on the yarn world in the US and just she analyzes it the best that I've ever seen, just very logically and clearly and apolitically. So I will just post a link to her description of that, of what we can expect, the changes in the yarnverse, yarniverse. So, okay, I guess we'll sign out. I don't really have a great ending.
Your outro.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. It was very fun to talk about the projects and knitting things.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you could be here, and I'm really, really genuinely impressed with what you're doing. Even if it's driving your mom crazy that she now has the knitting. What did she? I think she called it the knitting virus. Or something.
Yeah. Well, she can deal. I'm like, when are you gonna let me teach you how to crochet or knit? And she's like, it feels like a winter hobby. Like, oh my god. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's not her life, so exactly. Okay. So thanks for being with us, and have a good till whenever I see you next.